Everyone, welcome to our Earth Temple discussion. No, it's the final episode or whatever of our definitive ranking of Wind Waker dungeons, and we just have one dungeon left, and that is the Earth Temple.
Yes, so current rankings: Dragon Roost, Forbidden Woods, Wind Temple, Tower of the Gods, Ganon's Tower, Forsaken Fortress. But now the almighty Earth Temple.
Mm-hmm.
First thing that always comes to mind is, what exactly is an Earth-themed dungeon?
That's worth touching upon, actually, because, well, the actual theme of it is more, it more reminds me of, like, the Shadow Temple.
It does,
You know,
yeah.
There's, like, skeletons and graves and stuff like that. So I guess that's, things with it. They're buried in the earth, maybe.
It always bothered me that in Skyward Sword there was an Earth Temple, but it's just like a fire-themed dungeon. They're totally different.
Earth could mean a lot of things.
Yeah.
You could almost make Earth could be almost any
Yeah.
any theme, and it would fit, right?
Yeah.
Well, let's go right into this. If we're talking about what is an Earth Temple, and that theme and like the look of the dungeon, that it's actually one of my least favorite looking dungeons.
It's very dark.
It's very dark. I get that it's supposed to. It's like the shadow. It's kind of the creepier elements. There's ghosts and skeletons, but just in general.
Ghosts and skeletons, you mean Pose and Stalfos?
Yeah, I'm speaking broadly here. You get what I'm saying. When I think of it, more so than anyone, I just think it's like a bunch of empty stone rooms that don't look memorable, That's my feeling. I'm taking a shot at this one. I get it. It's supposed to be dark because you have the light shining.
Yeah, it's a dark and light. It's a light dungeon. It's clearly, I mean, a lot of the elements are with light shining in and reflecting light, using light to solve puzzles.
It's sort of like, aesthetically, it's like if you crammed the Shadow Temple and the Spirit Temple into one temple. Like, aesthetically. And to me, it's just some weird middle point that it doesn't inspire me. I'm going to say right off the bat, that's bottom for me. For just aesthetic. I'm not ranking it.
Okay.
I'm not ranking it. I'm just saying it is aesthetically my least favorite dungeon in this game.
All right, let's go next to Medley. Because I love Medley. I love playing as Medley. I love Medley as a character. She controls kind of like Link. Unlike Makar, you're with Medley for more of a significant portion of this dungeon. It feels like more of a companion throughout the entirety of the dungeon. Like, it's almost like a two-player dungeon for a lot of the puzzles. And like even in that like initial room where you gotta like press the two switches at the same time, and you gotta figure out how to get there, and you fly with Medley, and then you send Medley over to the other.
Yeah, the puzzle element is more fleshed out. I will say Medley controls better than a statue, and Medley controls better than Makar.
Okay,
but as far as and like it is cool to like be like, I can just fly up there if I want, but like it doesn't, maybe it's because it doesn't have the new factor, but it doesn't like thrill me that much.
Okay,
I do like the puzzles though, but and it's novel that you can fly over, but like comparing it to like Majora's Mask or whatever, where you can play as these different races or whatever, like I get that the game is centered around those mechanics, so it's hard. It's apples and oranges a little bit, but playing as all of them excite me. But I don't think it. It to me, it's just as good as playing as like Kafai and in Majora's Mask.
So
I'm not saying it's bad though.
I feel I'm gonna flat out say that I think this has the best puzzles in the entire game.
The best puzzles
of any of the dungeons. I feel the variety of the puzzles are very solid. And they're not always just puzzles. It's more of like a cooperative dungeon. There's a room where there's all this like purple fog on the floor, and you can't navigate it because Link can't breathe or whatever in it. So it's like, how do you get rid of it? Oh, you can shoot the sunlight. So it's like, there's a switch down there where you got to hit with the skull hammer, but you can't get to it. So what do? You take control of Makar or of Medley. You shine the mirror, open up the light. You have a narrow path to go through. I like the cooperative like aspect.
Yeah,
to figure out how do I get over there. I got to use this with the light. For the first half of the dungeon, Link is he's the fighter. He's the sword fighter. He kills all the enemies. And then you switch over to Medley because she's the puzzle solver. Because she has, this magical mirror that why Medley didn't just give Link the mirror and been like, I'll just wait here. I don't know, but
well, it's her special harp,
Yeah, I guess so. I like what do I got to do? Oh, let me move this block because I don't think Medley can push blocks or anything either. So it's like I like the back and forth with that.
Yeah,
and that gets amplified later on when Link gets his own mirror shield. Because now you've got two sources of reflection here, and there's a lot of puzzles where you got to reflect. There's light coming in, you reflect it a second time. It gets amplified to the biggest part in that last room, the gigantic mirror room, where there's like 8 mirrors, and you're reflecting light over and over and over and over to eventually get light on the 2 eyeballs or whatever of that big statue. And that's my favorite room in all of the Wind Waker.
It does a really good job of the cooperative, the 2-person puzzles, like better than Makar for sure. And it builds on it throughout the dungeon in a good way, especially like you said, getting the mirror shield, and that it does that really well. For me, it more comes down to like the act of puzzling in some of the other dungeons that we put above the Wind Temple it's more fun to actually do. Floating around on the Deku Leaf or swinging around or throwing the swords, that's more fun than okay, I get it. I got to shine the light here. Okay, so I got to play the command melody. Okay, I got the light. It comes down to that like tedium almost a little bit where it's not as bad as like we said waiting for the water to go or anything, but it's just not it's not even bad. It's just not it's not as fun to me when I think about it compared to those other things. And then when you said that room that's your favorite room, that's one that it's like that room to me it's like you've almost got the puzzle figured out right when you enter it.
Well, you gotta just figure out like you follow the path of the light. How do I get the light from here to here to here to here to here? And then there's some cases it's like, I can see there's something on the ground. I gotta move a statue. I gotta reflect light from Medley to Link to this wall to break the wall to find the statue. I like it.
I don't know if it would be better or worse, but it's almost always like, well, you just push the statue to where it goes.
More times than not, that is what it is.
All of them have. Here's the spot it goes. For me, it's just that the puzzle is already solved for you in a way. And it's just like, I've solved the puzzle, but it's going to take me 10 minutes to do this room because I got to push all these statues and like keep changing perspective and stuff like that. Like, I just find that a little bit more boring than some of the other stuff.
I want to talk about the enemies a little bit.
Okay.
I feel that this dungeon, it introduces several new enemies. The main ones it introduces are, the mini-boss is a Stalfos. Now, Stalfos, I don't think the Stalfos it carries on a similar form as previous entries of the Stalfos. It's all right. I don't think
pick up his weapon.
Yes. It also, the skeletons, as you put it. It also has the ghosts, the pose
and the zombies.
But like the pose, I like when you shine the light and they get all like scared and start dancing around a little bit.
Yeah.
It does have the Redeads, which, although I'd say probably Redeads might be the most annoying enemy in the entire Zelda series. They're here and they're new.
They're cool. They're creepy looking.
Yeah. So there is a wide variety of enemies throughout the course of this dungeon. Several of them haven't appeared yet in previous dungeons. They
have the added element of shining the light on the chews to use them for puzzles too.
Yeah, the purple chews.
They're an enemy, but they're also much like the, picking up the little ball guy in Dragon Roost and using him to push down. You got that still, which is cool.
Yeah. And in that, I think it's the second room of the dungeon. You don't have the mirror shield, so you gotta either bring him over to the light or you position Medley just to do it.
I think when I think of like them, more so like the pose, like I don't find fighting them that fun though. Maybe I'm just anti the aiming the light, but I just don't find it that fun to do. I'm just kind of like, maybe it's not, I don't know actually what I would say is worse, that or the boomerang, but like I don't find both particularly satisfying to do, you know.
I feel when you're fighting them, especially if you're like low on health, you just run into the sun, into the light portion. It's like a small like safe zone.
You're kind of safe in there. Yeah,
you can't get me.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. Yeah, but just like the actual act of like.
Okay, I absolutely love one of my favorite songs in the game is when Link and Medley are playing the Earth God lyric.
Okay,
I like it.
You like that, but the Makar one.
That's okay. I like the Earth God lyric more.
Oh, I view them as equal footing.
Let us know what you think.
They're the same song, actually. They're just different parts to the same song. Right?
I'm on Team Earth God lyric. I just like her instrument. I like everything about Medley. She's fantastic.
I like her as a character, and
this is her dungeon.
Like the overall story told throughout the game with her is a little bit more fun than like you said, you see her in Dragon Roost, and you're like reminded of her, and then Makar, it's just like, oh, he's out there, go get him. You know, it's better. Medley's better. I'll give you that.
Then we have the boss, Jalhala. He's okay. I'm not gonna argue. I'm not dying on this hill, but
I actually like him. Like I said, the aiming isn't that great or intuitive, so that's kind of hit against him. But especially when he's like trying to attack you, and you're like,
yeah.
But I think it's fun to pick him up, throw him at the spikes, and then when the posts come out, you don't have to shine the light on him. So it's like kill as many as you can. Like I think it's actually kind of fun for what it is.
Throwing him against the spikes, it gives me that like Super Mario Bowser.
Yeah.
You know, there's that. You know, Bowser, you're making a lair. Why are you putting a giant spike right next to you?
Yeah.
Your one weakness.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah. I actually will argue for that, but it's no Helmarock King.
Oh, I don't think Jalhala is bad. I'm just saying it's not. It doesn't stick out to me as my favorite. My favorite boss is Ganondorf, actually.
Oh yeah, sure.
Ganondorf is my favorite. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of most of the bosses, actually. I would say in Wind Waker, but probably Ganondorf, Helmarock King, and then Jalhala's with some of these other guys, maybe.
It ties in with the theme of the dungeon well, and there's
the giant Poe. Yeah,
the Poes are there too. So
yeah,
it's pretty good.
Generally, a lot of the dungeon the dungeon bosses fit. Like even like I hate Kali Deimos, but it's a giant, oversized, like morphed plant, which fits because it's a jungle or forest-based dungeon, you know.
Yeah.
So it kind of fits. So, all things considered, where does the best dungeon in Wind Waker fit on your list?
The best dungeon, huh? Okay. Let's start, since you're so high on it. I will say it is better than the Forsaken Fortress.
So we could say definitively the Forsaken Fortress is the worst dungeon.
Yes.
Okay.
I will say it's better than Ganon's Tower.
Okay. That's all you're giving me.
No. Now, Tower of the Gods, like I said, not a lot of puzzling that I'm a big fan of.
The puzzles in Earth Temple are better.
The puzzles in Earth Temple are better.
I mean, they both use the command melody, but Earth Temple
is better.
I'd rather play as Medley. You said Medley's better than a statue.
Yeah, I know. I'm just being dramatic by starting from the bottom.
So, all right, we've moved one step up. All right, 3 down, 3 to go.
And I will acknowledge that playing as Medley is better than Makar. Medley overall is better than Makar.
Except when it comes to plush dolls.
Oh, Makar is cuter, maybe?
I like Medley.
But in most respects, I don't think Medley is much better than Makar, except for maybe like story in the game. Like that's a whole different topic. But I will, if you want, I'll concede the Wind Temple.
Okay.
But here's where I'm stuck, because when I'm going back to when I'm thinking about those items and like what they introduced to the game and the series in a way, like those stick out as like the positives to me. I know we're mostly talking about the context of the dungeon, and the Earth Temple is towards the end, but the mirror shield as an item like doesn't bring much to the whole game, really. I think like it's fun in that it's okay in that temple, even though, like I said, I'm not crazy about the light. I don't actually dislike them that much, other than the slight tedium. But I think they make for some okay puzzles. But I feel more strongly about what the other two offer.
The Earth Temple, it fits almost like a Twilight Princess dungeon, where the mirror shield is such a focal point towards that dungeon. Mm-hmm. Does the mirror shield even get used outside of the Earth Temple?
Using Ganon's tower.
Yeah, but in the Earth Temple room.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a dungeon-only item, and they centered the entire dungeon based not only on the mirror shield, but also Medley's mirror.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a mirror-based dungeon. So yeah, you are definitely right in the sense that I don't think you ever used the Deku Leaf in that dungeon. You use the Skull Hammer for one puzzle or whatever. I don't even know if you need the boomerang. You know, you use bombs to beat Stalfos, but like, you know, you could use the boomerang, but the grappling hook is nowhere to be, you know, that is a mirror.
But I will say the way they use it is really strong, and that's why I would concede to it above Wind Temple. But I think about these two dungeons and how they play off of things you already know really well, and they introduce things that you're going to use later that are really fun too, like throughout the whole game. You know, it's Earth Temple's more towards the end, but it's not the last one, you know? Like they could have brought that back in the Wind Temple.
Yeah, I don't think you don't use it at all. You don't need it.
But we're still talking about in the context of the temple, so yeah, I feel like you'd have to convince me for it to go above these other ones.
Well, I like the Forbidden Woods. Let's
Yeah.
I like Dragon Roost as well. These are my favorite 3 dungeons.
Okay.
So there's no oddball in here that doesn't belong.
I would say these are mine too. Like maybe the Wind Temple for me. Like, but you've convinced me that it's middle of the pack. But that's why I feel like you got to convince me to get the Earth Temple any higher.
It sounds like you're not buying the mirror. I love the mirror. The puzzles. So you think the puzzles are average, it sounds.
No, I think the puzzles are pretty solid. And like I said, it's a good realization of the Wind Temple. Like that or it's better. Actually, it comes before it. I think it's a good realization of the co-op character puzzle. But it's not that I don't buy the puzzles. It's that I like the puzzles. I like the puzzles in the other two more.
I can live with this placement.
Really?
I can. This is not. This is not Oracle of Ages here. All right, let's be clear.
Yeah, because you don't have a Nehru's love.
Yeah.
So.
All right. For the sake of the video, and the video only.
Wow.
Earth Temple can fit here. At least we beat up on Makar.
Well, okay, because Wind Temple is one of your least favorite, right?
Yeah. Well, it's in the lower echelon. Yeah.
So I think we talked some of our favorites to the middle.
Yeah. So yeah, you had Wind Temple.
Yeah. It's in the top 3 for me, but it's 4. Okay. You know.
All right. So our definitive list, starting from the worst: Forsaken Fortress, Ganon's Tower, the 2 sort of non-dungeon dungeons, I would say.
Yeah, definitely highlight story moments and bosses. Great there. Like, if we were ranking that.
Yeah. Followed by the Tower of the Gods, which sort of fits that element too.
Tower of the Gods is the one that's like first solid dungeon and good story. It's like
both.
It's solid overall.
Wind Temple, Earth Temple, we just talked ad nauseum.
The divisive ones.
Forbidden Woods, for the navigation, really, the usage of items, the Deku Leaf sold it, I think.
The Deku Leaf.
Despite Kali Deimos. But
Kali Deimos really weighs it down, but
Dragon Roost, the first major dungeon, did it for us.
Interesting, yeah. I wonder what that says, you know?
I feel that it's just solid, and we didn't have any negative things to say about it.
Yeah, I think there are maybe some more highs in some of the lower ones.
Yeah, like I think if you did not have Kali Deimos, I would have Forbidden Woods above it. Earth Temple I think is better, but you've convinced me not to fight forever here.
We've agreed to it.
So this is our definitive listing.
Yeah, let us know how you would rank these.
I'm curious to know, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like we could get... Because I could totally see, like, you know, based on story moments, maybe you view that as more... way that higher or something, or, like, a specific boss really did it for you or something, you know? Like, I could totally see how someone else might place different values on these different things, so... I think a less controversial list than some of our other ones, maybe, though.
Yeah.
I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
We probably know already.
Yeah. I wonder what Taylor Wells' top Wind Waker Dungeons looks like.
All right. Well, everyone, thanks for watching. Let us know your favorites. Subscribe, like, you know, all that good stuff. And we'll see you in our next definitive ranking sometime. Bye.